Hi everybody, welcome back for another painting tutorial. This is another request submitted by one of my lovely patrons, Sandy. Hope you like this one and feel free to paint along, everybody. Sandy, you're going to receive the original painting here today, and I'm going to go over all the colors and brushes, you guys, the canvas. It'll also be listed below in the description box below this video. Starting off with the canvas, I've got an 8x10 double primed and stretched canvas here. I've got the following colors I'm going to be using: Dioxazine purple, bright aqua green turquoise, and phthalo cyan blue. I'll also be using some luminous yellow. This is a warm yellow and it's neon, and a little bit of white. To start off, with a flat brush, I'm going to take some white and just directly apply it to the center of the canvas here where it's going to be the brightest. And I'm just going to start pulling back and forth. And then I'm going to apply a little bit of the warm neon yellow over that white. So this will be our horizon line right here. I'm going to wash my brush out now. And I'm just going to add a little bit more white now with a clean brush. And soften the edges. The next color I'm going to take is my turquoise. So I'll just apply it to my brush. I don't need very much because it's a small canvas. And I'm going to start adding a little bit up here and also some down here. Now, the waves in the water kind of looks like it's a low tide, but there's really low little waves and lines in the water, and they're on a bit of an angle like this. So we're going to start to just train our brain and our hand to start painting it on that slight angle like that when we come in later with more details. I'm going to take some more white now, and I'm going to go over and really give this a frosty mint color. And add it down here below. I'm going to bring the horizon up a little bit higher. I never like to cut the horizon line in the middle of a canvas. I always tell you guys, and it's a really good tip for making paintings more dramatic, go a little higher than the center of the middle of the canvas, or a little lower. So for this specific painting, and you guys can enjoy the reference photo below for Patreons. It's free on Patreon. You can see that the horizon comes up higher. So we're just going to start bringing that in a little higher. And as I'm looking closely now at the reference photo, I'm actually seeing just a little bit of pink, just a tiny bit of pink in here. So I'm going to take a small amount of my neon red. Anyhow, I've got a little bit of neon red here. I'm going to go over part of the yellow, take some white, start bringing it up, working it into a bit of that turquoise. And I know it's going to dry a little bit darker, so I want to make sure that I have just a small amount. And then again, add as much white as you want. I really want to have a soft pastel background. And then that'll make the clouds stand out more. I'm going to come in with some more white here, remembering the angle of those waves. So I start to turn my brush, slightly scoop, bringing it up a little bit to the right. And I'm going to start to dry this off now, and then we can come in with our contrast and our shadows. Okay, I'm going to use a number 10 Filbert brush, and I'm going to start coming in with the first layer of the shadow clouds. And I'm going to just take a little bit more. As you can see, I've got my Phthalo cyan blue, Dioxazine purple, a little bit of titanium white, and I'm going to use just a little bit more of my turquoise. And I'm going to begin the first layer with a little bit of phthalo blue, turquoise, and a little bit of white. Okay, and I'm just going to add a really thin, airy layer of the clouds. I'm going to get my brush a little bit wet. And a little bit of white, because I know it's going to dry a little bit darker. So I want to make sure that it's the right color and softness. And just softly wiggle around. And come in from this side as well, just below the right-hand corner. Add a little bit more white. You can see it's already starting to dry. A shade or two darker. Okay, then I'm going to come down along the horizon here and add a few soft strips of clouds. Sliding my brush back and forth. Okay, now I'm going to come in down in the water here and start adding a little bit of that same cloud color. Take a little bit more water on my brush, blue, turquoise, and white. Get it all mixed up there. Look at those lines in the water that are just very low, gentle waves. And like I said before, what it looks like to me is a low tide. And what it looks like when the tide's going out or starting to come back in. It's going to be darker in the bottom right corner here, well, and on the left too. So we'll gradually work our way up to those darker colors. Just a little bit of that soft powdery blue in here too. Just gives the sky and the clouds much more airiness, just gives it that light airy feeling. So I think we can come in with our horizon, and with a clean brush I'm just going to take some Dioxazine purple and the blue. Instead of using black, I'd rather use this, and I'm going to go right across and then I'll just add some higher areas. Probably the city and just like a few little lights. And little trees and things back there. Okay, so that'll dry nice and dark for us. And then I'm going to take a little bit of blue and mix the turquoise in so that it makes it a little bit lighter now. So start to fade it out here, right under the horizon too. Mix a little bit of white in there. And I'm just going to gently, hear that little scumble? Sounds like it's scrubbing, and I'm not pushing very hard. I know it sounds really loud and like I'm pushing hard. And I'll take some more. Mix up those colors again. A little bit of white in there. Again, bright aqua green, turquoise, phthalo cyan blue, dioxazine purple, and white. And it's brighter in here because the light is just reflecting down here. I'm going to take a little bit extra white, mix it in with my turquoise. And a little bit more white. I love seascapes, any type of water painting, I just love. I've always been drawn to the water, whether it's calm water or rough water, it doesn't matter. I love watching waves too. I'm just bringing this up a little bit higher. Then I'm going to come in with some more of my purple and blue. And need a little bit of water. See, when it just kind of gets dry and you can see the canvas through it, it's time to add a little bit of water to help glide your brush. Don't be afraid to go right through. By going right through, we're going to build up even more contrast. I'm going to come in along the side here. I just want to make sure that it's not as dark as our horizon back there. So if it is, and it's starting to look a little bit dark, I'm just going to add a bit of white. It'll still be dark enough, but we really do want that background to be the darkest. Okay, I'm going to rinse my brush off. Pick up a little bit more of my purple, and I'm going to bring this horizon line, the land back there, up a little higher now. Now you can use black if you want. It'll be a little bit more striking, but black can leave paintings looking a little flat. That's why I hesitate to use black. I'm just going to take a little bit more of my warm yellow here. And a little bit of white. And I'm going to go across the water again, concentrating on the center here being the brightest, and not forgetting the angle that we're adding them on. I'll take a little bit of that off there because I want it to stay dark on this side. Just going back for a little bit more turquoise here, a little bit of white. That's really what drew me to this photo that Sandy sent, was the beautiful turquoise in here. I'm such a sucker for turquoise. Okay, so I'm going to just quickly hop over to a little round brush. Use a round brush or a liner brush, and I'm going to take some of that warm yellow and white and dab a few lights back there. and then pull a little bit more of that warm yellow through the sky. So it's just very, very tiny, tiny amounts for little lights back there. Okay, so I think that we're ready to come in with our darker clouds, and I'm going to continue using this brush. I don't want to have too much water in it, and I don't want to have too much paint, so I'm going to just make sure I mix up the color I want. A little bit more purple in there, a little bit of white, and then work off the majority of the paint. So I'm going to come in here and go inside. Okay, I think I can get away with adding some more paint to my brush. Better to be safe than sorry though, right? I'm just going to travel around where I want to have the darker clouds. And adding a little bit of white is really, really nice too, because it keeps your clouds looking soft. So we all know, like I mentioned it a million times in all my videos, acrylic dries darker. So this is really, really helpful. A little bit of white. Adding a little bit of water to my brush to help release that paint out. We're gonna slide and move around, adding just little strips. And then work our way over here. Careful in this area, we want to have some of that soft, airy turquoise. And then it just starts to sort of span out. There's going to be a lighter spot inside there. Pick up a little bit of white and go back and soften. This is going to give you some different shades and tones to your clouds. A little bit of smoky purple in there. Then just really thin strips in here. So it helps to create that perspective. Okay, just rinsed my brush out. I'm going to take a little bit of turquoise, mix that in. I don't want to have too much. Just dab it off on the towel. I don't want to have too much paint on my brush, but I want to bring a little bit more of those airy looking transparent clouds up here. There's just something about the combination of phthalo blue, purple, and turquoise that I absolutely love. I think if I had to choose, if somebody said you only have 3 colors that you can pick forever for the rest of your life to paint with, those would probably be it. Okay, now just a little bit more white again in here. I want to make sure that it dries nice and light, and don't want to forget to come in here and add those light strips, and just a little bit in here. Again, it's going to dry darker. And let's add another coat of highlights to the water. Now I'll dry this off once more and we'll come in with our tree. I'm so excited. This is going to really make the background set back there, and yeah, it's just it'll come together so beautifully once we add this tree. I think it looks pretty like this too, but I'm really excited about this tree in silhouette. So I'm just going to take my hair dryer, completely dry this off, and we'll go ahead and start that. I've got one of my longer liner brushes, and this just helps create a little bit more flow, and it's also a little bit easier. It'll keep my hand out of the way, hopefully, so you can see what I'm doing a little bit better, but you can use any size liner brush is basically what I'm getting at. It doesn't matter, but that's why I'm using a long one. So I got it wet, and I'm just gonna roll it around in my Dioxazine purple because this is the darkest color. Rather than using black, I would prefer, and I do prefer to use colors in my paintings. So we've got a tree. There's 4 different tree trunks, or main, I don't know if it's one tree or a bunch of trees, but there's 4 main large lines in here for the tree. So I'm going to start right in here, go right off the canvas, get a little bit more water on my brush and paint. We'll make this a little bit thicker. Now I guess for this step, it might be easier if you use a very thin Filbert brush or even a round brush, but you can do it with a liner brush too. Okay, and then we have the second one that's a little bit crooked and comes down here. Kind of goes off to the center a little bit. And then we have one that just sort of crisscrosses here. And make sure you're watching your width of your tree trunks, that they're a little bit thicker at the base. Okay, and then one more that actually joins. It's black or really dark, in this case dark purple, and it comes up, over, crosses over, back up. I love this tree. I love trees that have a lot of character to them like this. And then down and loops up and goes off. Now don't worry if yours doesn't line up the same as mine. Mine isn't lining up the same as the photograph, but see, that's where it's really interesting and fun to work from a photograph and see how everybody's, basically we're painting the same thing, but we're all seeing it a little bit differently. So with a little bit of water on my brush and less pressure, I'm going to start painting. See how thin my paint is? It's pretty runny. Painting these branches. So that's the trick, is to have less paint on your brush and more water. Now this tree has a darker background, so we're going to need a little bit more paint to make these ones show up. And I kind of loop down, and then so I'll do like one main branch, and then I'll do a few little graceful ones that kind of go in the same direction, kind of loop down like that. And there's another larger branch right here, and it goes down. So just wiggle, wiggle for these little smaller branches. And remember, water's your friend for these little ones too, because it'll make the paint faded, so you just get so many different layers in your branches. You have ones that are maybe the light somewhere in the front of them is hitting them. And then there's even a few here that come down. You'll see with a reference photo, and you can decide how many you want to add. I'm just going to go over the parts of the branches that are a little bit thicker and just make sure that they show up. Don't be afraid to shake a little bit when you're going down your tree trunk, because there are some little lumps on some of these tree trunks, not all of them, but and if you make a little mistake like that, just gently scrub it off. Okay, I'm just gonna continue using this little round brush that I just grabbed to wipe that off with, and I'm gonna add a little bit more light in the back. And the water here. I'll just add a little bit more blue and purple to the side here. Okay, well, I really enjoyed painting this. This was a quick painting. I hope you like it, Sandy, and everyone else watching. Hope you enjoyed this, that you learned something new, maybe picked up a little tip today that you hadn't known about before. Thanks again for watching, everybody. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. Feel free to join Patreon if you'd like to support what I do, and you'll get extra content over there and some gifts. Take care, and I'll see you all soon in my next video. Bye!